one day. Yeah, I had to laugh, dude. I saw a guy tweet one day. He said, "How the hell hard can it be to go out there and just? Why is our defense so bad? Why is it so hard? All you got to do is go out there and tackle. All you got to do is hit somebody. Really? Well, go out there and try it for a day.
It's a lot more than that, and that's what thing we see. A lot of
Yeah.
people, a lot of couch GMs do not understand basics, and that's what we see the issue run into time in and time again.
I just laughed at it. I didn't even reply because it was so stupid. Philip actually went after him, but I didn't. I just had to laugh because I thought anybody that wants to sit there and say all you have to do is hit somebody, go out there and try to hit Tyreek. Go out there and try to catch
football, so he understands. But
yeah.
Philip understands. A lot of people don't.
Yeah,
it takes a lot to do that stuff. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy. So, what do you think the likelihood of this game getting moved, man? What's your opinion?
I think they're still going to play it. I still feel confident that the Chiefs can win. Even I feel like they can win even if Tyreek and Kelsey don't play. I think if they win, this would be a good statement game for Mahomes specifically and these younger guys because everyone's like, Mahomes isn't anything without Travis Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. See. I'm like, okay. But if we can see these guys like
but they don't
Hardman,
say that about Brady.
Yeah. If we see these guys like Hardman, Pringle, if Darius Fountain can somehow get activated off the COVID list and gets to play, Cornell Powell, he doesn't have COVID from what we're seeing, so he might get activated. If they can win with these guys, maybe not Blake Belfield to come back, or also Noah Gray, CH Derek Williams. Hey man, and we win the game and we win pretty convincingly, or win in general. I mean, that kind of just shows you like, hey, they ain't messing around. This team can still play.
Well, no, it's
because the Steelers. I think that the Steelers, they have a good defense, but that offense is just not good.
No,
the offense is not good, and the defense needs to punish them every single time they can because Ben
better keep that ball out of the air.
He has proven this season he isn't good at making the right decision. Now he could get a couple plays on us, and we could lose the game because of that. So the Chiefs need to basically play their hardest. And I know the COVID has made it difficult, but they still got to practice. You still got to practice, be prepared, study. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're not like 6 degrees, like, okay, you need to be looking at these plays and different things. So there's a chance you might go. We need to win this game. So nothing would surprise me because this game, if you win this game and the Chargers lose, you win the AFC West, correct? And you win the AFC West and you get your 7 straight years and you will end up clinching a playoff spot. So,
So you win the West, you're guaranteed a playoff spot.
Yeah.
So it just is what it is. And I don't know who I haven't looked at the schedule. Who are the Chargers playing? Is it Cincinnati?
The Houston Texans.
They're playing the Texans?
Yeah.
Hey, man, you know what?
That game could go either way.
That could go either way. You never know which way that's going to go. It depends on which Chargers team shows up. That's what's really going to boil down to.
That's true. That's very true.
And look, I wouldn't put it past the Texans to beat them. I wouldn't because they're pissed anyway. So they're looking for, something. And I wouldn't put it past them to beat them, Then it's all about really we win the West. Then it's all about just winning out the rest of the season.
Yeah, win out the rest of the season, keep that number 1 seed. And then what you need to do is also be prepared for the playoffs because you don't know what's going to happen that first game. You have to prepare. You got to best matches possible.
Yeah.
So we're at a point where a lot of different things can happen. We see the competition in the AFC is very tight. Very, very tight. Got a lot of 6-6, 7-6, 8-6 teams trying to make it. And someone's going to get left out. It normally happens, but this year there's a couple teams. The Bills could still not make the playoffs. We had the Titans just beat the 49ers. So they're probably going to, I don't know if that because they won the division, but they're pretty much going to make the playoffs. So you got a lot of teams that could possibly not make it. There's also a scenario that the Patriots may not make it. So there's many different things that can happen. Yeah. You have to prepare. You have to prepare and know what's going on. Because if you don't, you're going to lose it.
It's like Andy said, when they mentioned something about when they clinched that number 1 seed for now and the Patriots losing, he said, that's all good and great, but we don't rely on anybody else but ourselves.
Yeah. The job's not done yet. Job is not done yet.
So, and really that's all you can rely on is yourself. You don't have anybody else in this world to rely on but yourself.
That's
so
true.
No matter what you think, people could say what they want. Believe me, if anybody can tell you that, it can be me. You have to rely on yourself. You have to put it in, and you have to put it in hard.
McCall Harmon needs to trust in himself because we know he can do it. He needs to believe I can do it, and I believe he can because he's shown us flashes. He has shown us flashes.
Yeah,
and I know McCall can do it.
He can. I'm not even concerned with McCall. Honestly,
I'm not either. He's gonna get some time. He's gonna get his chance to. He's gonna get his chance, and if say Kelsey or Hill can't go, hey, there you go, McCall. We looking at you.
Next man up mentality, and that's why we got depth. That's why we got depth. I mean, that's just as simple as that. Hey, somebody said something today that it was actually a little comical, and after we had brought up the fact, because we were the first ones to ever say anything about Eric Bieniemy not calling plays or calling all the plays and then stop. Somebody had brought up today after a press, I guess it was on the presser on Facebook. It said that whoever this guy was had like an ignorant amount of followers on Facebook. I mean, more than I think I've ever seen anyone have on Facebook. So,
was he a reporter?
He must be a journalist. I don't know who he is, but he must be a journalist. He said, somebody said something. Bieniemy was up there talking like he always does, giving his speeches, and his rah-rah. But he really wasn't answering any questions about how the game went or the players themselves for the most part. And really the play calling, he wasn't answering he wasn't answering any questions about the play calling. So this guy said, well, that's because he hasn't been calling any plays. And then I chimed in. I said, yeah, it's been about 7 weeks. He's called about 12 plays in 7 weeks. And the guy popped off and he says, yeah, you were the one that said that first, I think. And I said, we were the ones that said that first. I said, we knew what was going on before it even, when it started and when it ended. But when that's not a bragging, right? That's just comical that people actually
in the chat Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And it was comical that somebody had actually, when you say something and then people start to think, okay, maybe there's some validity to this. And then they start watching, and these guys that actually, let me put it this way, the guys that actually understand the game and watch the game, see it, then they know, and they go, oh my God, this is true. He's not been calling plays. You could tell. And it was just kind of comical that they said that, because after listening to him, in fact, Bieniemy always used to go first on those pressers. It was Bieniemy first, and then it would go.
Call him Reverend Bieniemy. When Ron the Show was still with Kansas City doing the radio, he would play when Vinny would talk. He would put the Reverend, like a Reverend, sound in the background.
So he would always go first in the presser, and then I think it was after that it was Tobe, and then it was usually after that it was Spags. Well, here what I've noticed lately, it's either Tobe or Spags first. They take the majority of the time up. Bieniemy's got about a minute, and that's about
not much.
No, and there's a reason behind it. We've talked about it. We don't have to continue to harp on a sour note, but it's comical to see it now that people are actually paying attention when they didn't really pay attention that first 6-7 weeks. They didn't pay attention to it. The first 5 weeks, they really didn't think that was was the case. They just thought that it was Mahomes was broken. And oh, by the way, that guy can't stop sticking his foot in his mouth. What's his name? Ryan Clark?
Yeah, what did he say this time?
Something about the Chiefs aren't nearly as good as they think they are.
I don't care. God, he just at this point saying hot takes to keep relevant. I don't care. Well, I understand he's in the industry, so he just has to say hot takes.
I get it. Care. I mean, at one point when he said that dumb shit about Mahomes is broken, he's the same old guy. He's broken, but he's the same guy he always was. When he said that, and then everybody went after him, he posted back, he snapped back a little bit and he goes, people mad at me for doing my job. Okay, well, that explains everything to me. They hired you to be the troll. You are the troll of that show. It's obvious that's what you are. So you basically just outed yourself on what your job title is, because you never say anything good about it.
Well, I don't think it's troll. I just think he had a really bad take. And he's like, I'm really not.
But he's continuing with it.
I mean, at this point, it's giving him clicks and views. So, I mean, I don't blame him.
I mean, I know they're trying to build their network back up, and I get all that. But for Christ's sake, I mean, dudes, you got to be, at some point, you have to be honest with yourself and honest with the people, or they're going to start calling you out. And that's what's been happening. It happens in smaller fan bases. with a little bit larger following. When you got a brand or a group that has a larger following, they get called out. But again, those also are the same guys that have a lot of followers because they say and do the things they do for the clicks.
Yeah.
So one of the guys at the Chiefs told me, and it made me feel pretty good. He said, "You guys never say anything negative when it comes to this team for the most part."
Who was
Have
this?
you been? Huh?
Who said
It was
this?
a guy with the Chiefs that I talked to with the Chiefs.
Oh, okay.
And he said, the one thing I can say is, he said, "Have you been critical at times?" Yes, everybody can be, but you're never negative to the point where you're just calling this team out and saying you're trash, you're never going to play again, they're terrible, or you're not calling out fans to a degree on Twitter. We never call out fans on Twitter. So we have a level of respect.
Too much work.
It is too much work, and it's kind of stupid.
Mhm.
But it's childish is what it is. You do it once here and there, and if you get heated, you're having a bad day, you say something, that's different. But when you say it every day and you argue with at least 10 or 15 people a day, that's just at some point, I get the whole fact that you don't really understand the game maybe, or you aren't really, I don't know, I guess maybe your football QA isn't that high and you just read a lot of stats and then you want to throw out things. But in the same aspect, you got to stop at some point, because the negativity is chasing people away.
Mhm.
We used to be that team everybody wanted to play for. Now they're thinking, Jesus, do I want to go to that fan base?
I'm gonna be honest with you, JP, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I just felt like we would have got more free agents because we had multiple players you would think that were lined up and would come to the Chiefs, and they end up going back to their teams or going to other places. So I don't disagree with you, but I feel like we still have a little bit more to go.
Well,
say we win say if we can win the Super Bowl, it could happen.
Well, let's put it this way. A lot of those free agents that came and left were free agents that most of them were wide receivers. If you really look at it, almost all of them were, because we were looking at wide receivers at that time. And they all left because they knew that they weren't going to be a number 2 wide receiver. They weren't going to be a number 1 wide receiver.
But you would think for the sacrifice for the team.
They don't care.
But a lot of
it's
players
ego.
care about them, and it's their way or the highway. And they're entitled to do that. I mean, that is what it is.
It's all about ego, bro. And when your ego overshadows everything else that comes along with the accolades and the Super Bowls and everything else, when your ego overshadows that, you're going to end up failing in the long run. And when you look back at your career when you're 45 and you're 50 and you're not in the Hall of Fame, and you played for some team that didn't get you anywhere, or you got injured during that time period and you had no chance to be able to become something more than just a name, or a number 1 wide receiver, what good did it do you in the long run? What good did it actually do you? Yeah, you got paid. You could have got paid here too. You may not have been Tyreek Hill. You may not have been Travis Kelce.
And one thing you say, JP, and not me talk about this, but every player gets a good bonus as they go throughout the. And if Mahomes is also going to make it to the championship game, AFC championship game, for the most part, that's a couple. How much? Do you know how much the bonuses are? Or,
I don't know what they changed.
You basically saying when it comes down to it, you saying like basically you can earn pretty much that money back that you want, that you could sacrifice in a way or come close.
Yeah, to a degree. If you get,
I remember that one thing you always would harp on, especially during free agency.
Yeah, you could if you're giving up $1 million, if you're chasing $1 million, just say you chase $1 million, or even $2 million for that matter. You could go to a team that is 8-8, 7, and whatever the case may be. Well, now it'd be 8-9, but whatever the case may be, some crappy team, the Jets, somebody like that has no opportunity to, really make it anywhere or very far for an extra $1 million or $2 million. You could easily make that up in playoff wins and Super Bowls. And not only that, you're going to get endorsements out of it because you were just in a Super Bowl. You were just in the playoffs. You're in the AFC Championship game. You played with one of the best, the best quarterback in the league. You played with the best head coach in the league. All of those things fall into play, and you get endorsements from it. You get this from it. You get that from it. All these extra things come along with it. And it's not just about the salary on the field. That's why a lot of these players, you see them Nowadays, they're building their brands because